How's it going, guys? Stephen Hoy here, aka Chops Investments. I'm gonna make this quick video because I was scrolling on Facebook and I noticed two investors arguing about a certain neighborhood that they were reticent to invest in because of blight, which basically just means there's a large influx of dilapidated buildings or bad infrastructure, maybe high crime, stuff like that. And if you're a risk-adverse investor, I definitely don't blame you at all for avoiding places like this. However, if you're like me, you're always looking for deals, looking for ways to make it work. There are ways you can create win-wins in this situation, bringing up the blight area as well as turning a profit. So I've just made a quick list of three pros, three cons. If you ever, see a neighborhood or an area or a few houses that look a lot cheaper than the rest, and you want to go for it, obviously my opinion. Do your due diligence first. Don't get lost, and don't bite off more than you can chew as far as risk. But obviously, yeah, let's get into it. So, blight can be caused by any number of things. I'm talking natural disasters, political turmoil, it could be market crashes, and it can really make your investments start to bleed so much that you are willing to get rid of them for pennies on the dollar. And it's really hard to bring these neighborhoods back up. Usually, so long as the investors, homeowners, property managers, so on and so forth, pay their taxes, upkeep on their homes or investments, property values tend to rise, which means more tax money for the city to invest in schools, infrastructure, etc. On the other hand, if something happens to spur a decline in property values, like a market crash or something like that, values tend to drop, which means in turn less money for the city to use to fix up the areas, which causes these blighted areas to sort of spread slowly. It's a real problem once it starts, and it's hard to fix. Now, you might be thinking, hey, Steve, aren't low property values a home run when you're investing? And usually, yes, if you can find the deals. However, some blighted areas, like parts of Baltimore, see little to no investing in most neighborhoods because of the liens on the property, shadows on the title, that could quickly turn your profit margin on its head. Due to the little tax, it's almost too risky of an investment for the city to put all their resources towards. Why would you want to take on that kind of risk as a solo investor or as a small team? I wouldn't. So, because I'm a pretty optimistic guy, I'm going to start with the pros, the three pros. The cons are going to come soon enough, so just sit tight for that. First pro, you probably guessed it, cheap and affordable inventory. Houses in these areas are usually going to be much cheaper than the surrounding areas. I was just looking at a 5-bedroom home for around $10K in Baltimore. Which means most people, if not everyone, could potentially invest in some of these homes. However, when I finished my research, that particular home, I would have been losing money for the rest of my life if I kept it. But there still are fantastic deals out there in these areas, especially if you know how to dig. Like, is there a hospital being built nearby? Is a city throwing money into cleaning up the area, or is it on like the outskirts of a and neighborhood that's really coming up and getting a lot of fresh money into it? If done right, it's not outside the realm of possibility that you could retire off a house like that. 5-bedroom, 3-bath for 10,000. If property values rise, but that's the risk. Please do due diligence on the properties and the neighborhoods if you're thinking about doing it. Do not bite off more than you could chew. Just use your head. And pro number two, I'm going to say, is quantity. Areas like these tend to have almost every kind of property you can imagine. If you want to start burning multifamilies, there's usually a ton of duplexes, triplexes, quads. Also, if you want to get into commercial investing, there's no shortage of businesses that went under apartments to pick up for cheap, or single family home if that's the way you want to do it. If you can swing a good deal and have solid due diligence, you can get a running start in just about any style of investing you want. Also, unless you screwed the pooch on your due diligence, you can probably escape with a few deep scratches instead of betting your entire life savings on bigger investments, more risky investments. This, in turn, will give you the confidence and the knowledge to step it up a little bit next time. Maybe make a riskier investment, or at least you can lick your wounds and learn from your mistakes. Once again, I'm going to say it probably every time I have to, is don't take too much of a risk. Leverage your risk. That's what we do. We're investors. That's how we make our money. Just be smart and Yeah, I can't stress that enough, honestly. And finally, that brings us to the third pro, and that is scalability.
Try to take over the world to save it from the real supervillains.
Say you do all your research, you have a property you're confident in, and maybe you're cash flowing on it, or made quite a bit of money off of it. You can now try to localize yourself in the market and possibly pick up a second or third property. Then we have a domino effect, where the work you're doing in the neighborhood is helping raise property values of your other houses in the same neighborhood. Soon other investors come along, see what you're doing, see the market's starting to raise itself a little bit. Soon you have a bunch of new money coming into neighborhoods, literally revitalizing these neighborhoods. You're making very tiny incremental movements upwards, but people will start noticing fairly quickly, especially for investors, because we have keen eyes for that sort of thing. Once the properties are raised to a healthier level, if you can start offloading the properties that you don't want to spend time with anymore, or start cutting your risks early on, so it doesn't come back to bite you later, or just keep all the risk and keep all the rewards. It's really up to you. As long as you stay focused, you do right by your neighbors, and you do right by the tenants, it'll all pay off. Should. All that being said, there is also no shortage whatsoever of issues of investing in these areas. First, probably most obvious, is going to be the quality. Chances are these houses are going to be in disrepair, boarded up, grass to the roof, which also has a hole in it. Imagine that. When investing in these houses, you have to have your ROI top of mind. That means plot out your strategy, know your ARV, meet the local contractors, and check to see if the city is offering any kind of incentives for investors to take the lead on these areas. Recently here in Hagerstown, there was a bill proposed that would send about $500,000 to help either demolish or repair blighted homes in the neighborhood, which I don't think it's passed yet, but I don't see why it wouldn't. I don't know, we'll see. These are small changes that have to be looked at very closely as an investor wanting to reap benefits of investing in areas like these. But yeah, have a great title company, know your contractors, know your neighborhoods, and have all your math checked out, double checked, and triple checked by you, your accountant, and I don't know, your dog or your cat. Just don't fuck it up. Also, unfortunately, second con, with low property values, lack of resources, lack of jobs, comes crime. And it's a no-go for most investors, and for good reason. I don't blame them. However, the healthy bounce back of property values comes more resources, jobs, more higher police presence, or lower police presence, but that's another topic. Homeless shelters, halfway houses can flourish. Section 8 can start approving the renovated homes in the area, and allow more government-assisted or low-income housing to keep people off the streets. Till then, crime is just going to be a part of these neighborhoods. Break-in, squatting, drugs, violence. I know a guy across the street who had an issue with squatters in a place he was renovating. They kept getting in the back door. Back door was broken, so he fixed the back door. About a week later, they busted in the front door and just smeared blood all over the walls. This is I saw the pictures, it's really gross. But just remember that people are people. If you do right by them, they'll usually do right by you. Also, if you've done your research, you'll know which streets to kind of avoid. And if you don't, and you find a property and you're really interested in it, do what I do, and it's go visit it during the day, of course, see everything, and then drive back around at night, probably around like midnight, 1 a.m., just to see what it's like when the sun goes down, and that'll give you a nice little window into what exactly investment's going to be like in the future. Finally, this one is a little bit of a gray area. The tenants you'll be dealing with if you go the rental route. If you go the rental route, you'll most likely be looking at Section 8 or government assistant tenants, which have stigma that follows them. I don't think it's deserved, but I'm also a newer investor. Hence, you need a little more help to find affordable housing. A lot of investors are reticent to take on Section 8 tenants because it usually means they've had a falling out with the previous landlords, failure to pay, property, and so on. Of course, there is a risk you can have a problem tenant. However, as long as you screen your tenants effectively, keep in contact with the property managers and the tenants, and set up some safety nets to deal with that if it does come up, you should be fine. Like, I love, and you will probably learn to love, laminated countertops, laminated flooring, little not tile flooring, laminated tile flooring. Super cheap, super easy to tear up every year if you need be. And it also doesn't look bad. It looks pretty cool, I think. So that's just my opinion, though. So there you have it. There's all I can quickly say on Blight Heirs in my experience thus far in my career. The risk may seem to outweigh the rewards to almost a frightening degree, depending on how you look at it. But as long as you do your due diligence, know your areas, make some really talented friends, aka contractors, you can succeed in even the worst situations, or at least learn a ton in the meantime. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you're enjoying the content and you want to stay up to date, please like and subscribe for future videos. Drop any questions down below, and remember, financial independence can be achieved by absolutely anyone, as long as you have that what, the why, the wherewithal, and of course, the chops.